The second item needing consideration is consider approving a letter to CPW regarding the management of the Wolf Depredation Compensation Fund. We have Amber Swayze, our Senior Managing Analyst, here to present today. Good morning, Amber.
Good morning, Commissioners. Amber Swayze, Community Development. For your consideration this morning, we do have a letter to the Colorado Parks and Wildlife in response to a presentation that they gave at the Club 20 Spring Conference on April 22nd. According to CPW, since the wolves were introduced into Colorado in December, they've retained a fairly small area. They're not moving the large distances like they had thought they would originally. And they're only starting to move outside of that area. We've already seen 7 depredations this year with 9 animals, and I expect that number to grow as those animals move further out. The process of reporting attacks and gathering information and then compensating producers is time consuming, given that this is a new process and CPW is still learning. We want to ensure that our producers are fairly compensated quickly and made whole. And our letter respectfully requests that CPW halt further introductions until that process is solidified. We also ask that they further working with producers to implement wolf conflict mitigation efforts so that our producers are prepared as those wolves move into other areas. And then lastly, if this letter is approved, I would request permission to update the last sentence of paragraph 2 to reflect the current depredation numbers, as it has increased since we put the letter in for this hearing.
Thank you, Amber. Commissioners, do you have any questions at this time?
Not a question, no.
Okay, great. Does anyone from the public would like to speak at this time? Just please come forward and state your name for the record.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Janie Van Winkle. I'm a cow-calf producer here in Western Colorado. I support Mesa County's suggestion that CPW take a step back. This will allow CPW to get processes in place before we put any more wolves on the ground. We understand that this is new to CPW staff. They need more time to learn and to find resolution to issues that wolves are bringing. Also, it would give time for CPW to locate wolves that are not from depredating packs in their current environment. For these reasons, we are supportive of the idea to slow down and solve the current issues before we add more wolves. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else from the public have a comment on this item? Please come forward and state your name to the record.
Thank you, County Commissioners. I'm Carlisle Courier. I'm a rancher here in Mesa County and president of the Colorado Farm Bureau. We thank the commissioners for considering this letter and encourage you to send it. We have some real problems with the rules that were agreed to before the wolves were originally brought in have not been totally followed. We got the 10J exclusion from the Endangered Species Act. The Colorado Parks and Wildlife has made the decision at this point they're not going to allow the 10J to be used for taking of a wolf that's causing depredations because they want to see the wolves fully established before that happens. That's not the spirit of the law. We need to get this right before we move forward. So thank you for considering this letter. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have public comment on this item?
Good morning, Commissioners. John Justman from Fruita, Colorado. I'm not a livestock producer, but I have a lot of sympathy for the people that have to put up with what the urbanites voted, and they don't have to live with their consequences of their vote. But the people up, especially in Grand County, they've been really impacted, and the whole northwest corner of Colorado will be. And I think Parks and Wildlife has to, like you said, step back, and they need to come up with a plan to help these people mitigate their losses and their problems. And how do you mitigate the stress on the cattle that these wolves probably spread across the whole herd, and how much that's going to cost them? You probably can't put a number on it, but it is just a sad situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Justman. Does anyone else have public comment at this time? Anyone else? Okay. Bring this back to the board for discussion.
I just want to say thank you, Amber, for writing a very thorough but concise letter. I 100% support it.
Likewise.
Yes, thank you to Amber for really meeting a need, I think, in our community. I was at the CPW panel discussion around Club 20, and I just felt I was hearing and listening their concerns. You good? You're fine. Just listening to their concerns as they were discussing to our community, some of the challenges that they're facing, that they're doing this for the first time as well. They're figuring out processes. And so we really want to make sure that we're partnering with them in a meaningful way. We understand that they're doing this for the first time, but let's not throw more gasoline on the fire. Let's get the processes down. Let's make sure our ranchers are made whole before we add more wolves to the process. So that's the intention behind this. And we're just, thank you, Amber, for putting this letter together. So we can bring it back to the board for a vote.
I move to approve item 2 is entered into the record.
So moved. I mean, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.